up, you beautiful bastards? Hope you're having a fantastic Friday. Welcome back to the Friday Show. For those of you that are new here, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I put out videos where we talk about the news, what's happening in the world, and then Friday, it's about the conversation. I go through the last week of videos, see what people are saying, and respond, because having a back and forth is what this is all about. That said, there is one story that has been requested over and over that really didn't fit into the shows this week that I wanted to address right at the top, and that story was about the update to the YouTube adpocalypse. For those that don't remember or didn't know, there were a lot of advertisers on YouTube that pulled their advertising. This because they found their content on videos they were not happy about. Ad revenue plummeted for many users, a few bounced back, but it was still a pretty bad situation for a lot of people. So in response to this situation, YouTube said, hey, we're gonna fix it. 1, we're gonna have a tougher stance on hate speech. 2, we are having broader demonetization policies. And 3, we're going to strengthen advertiser controls so that you can decide where your ads are better. But after this, there were still complaints from creators because ad revenue and demonetization was still a problem, and content creators were concerned that their content was being smacked down because of these broader demonetization policies. Well, now YouTube, after all this time, has updated the situation on their official blog, writing, since March, we've held thousands of productive conversations with advertisers and implemented additional controls to restore advertiser confidence. As a result, many advertisers have resumed their media campaigns on YouTube, leading creator revenue to return to a better, more stable state. We know that revenue fluctuations have been unsettling. We recognize there is still more work to do. We know we have to improve our communications to you, our creators. We also need to meet our commitment to our advertisers by ensuring their ads only appear against the content they think is suitable for their brands. Here's an update. And the first part involves more details around advertiser-friendly guidelines. Now, we'll go into a few standouts and further explanations, but it ultimately, no matter what, with each thing, it comes down to the part in the guidelines where they write, YouTube also reserves the right, at its discretion, to not show ads on videos and watch pages. So this is still guidelines and best practices. One of the explanations they expanded on, hateful content. A lot of people said, well, what if the jokes or the content, it's supposed to be satire, it's comedy? YouTube writes, content that is satire or comedy may be exempt. However, simply stating your comedic intent is not sufficient, and that content may still not be eligible for advertising. For inappropriate language, I said, am I gonna get dinged because I say beautiful bastards? They added, occasional use of profanity won't necessarily result in your video being ineligible for advertising, but context matters. Harmful or dangerous acts. Video content that promotes harmful or dangerous acts that result in serious physical, emotional, or psychological injury is not eligible for advertising. Some people have called this the Daddy of Five clause. Violence. This was one of the big ones. We talk about a lot of things in the world. Sometimes violent things happen and it's news. They've now added, if you're showing violent content in a news, educational, artistic, or documentary context, that additional context is important. Also, if you're playing a video game, they say violence in the normal course of video gameplay is generally acceptable for advertising, but montages where gratuitous violence is the focal point is not. Sexually suggestive content, they've pointed out exceptions for non-graphic sexual education videos, and one of the most interesting ones to me, inappropriate use of family entertainment characters. Content that depicts family entertainment characters engaged in violent, sexual, vile, or otherwise inappropriate behavior, even if done for comedic or satirical purposes. This is very obviously aimed at those horrible videos that get millions of views. We have like characters from Frozen and superheroes banging each other, shooting guns at each other, and just stuff you would think is generally creepy. And I have to say, as a dad who has a kid who watches YouTube Kids, I'm very glad they're going to be going after and demonetizing content like this. And something else that made me happy about this is when I was talking to my sources at YouTube, they said, you know, we first became aware of it because the community spoke up when you had creators like Ethan from H3H3 talking about this. It shows that while historically their reaction time, not the best, at least they are paying attention. Also, if you're looking for more information on what is okay and not okay as far as advertiser-friendly content, they created a Creators Academy course. It's one of the cheesiest things in the world. For example, when they're trying to inform you what is okay for a thumbnail, they said, what's not okay? Dead person in the thumbnail and a happy smoking baby. Which obviously leads to 2 very important questions. 1, is the thumbnail okay if the baby's not happy? Maybe it's an anti-smoking ad. And 2, is the thumbnail okay if the baby is happy, but it's because he's vaping?
Vape Nation.
In this, they also explain that if you want to make sure you're advertiser friendly, or at the very least that you don't get dinged, be careful of not only what you put in your thumbnail, but in your title, your description, and your tags. Any of that information could get you dinged. Another fantastic thing about the Creator Academy piece is that there's a quiz for you on the bottom of the page to make sure you learned the situation. Question 1. Michelle, actually, wait, you know what, let's say PewDiePie, because I need to use Pewds. I need that thumbnail, I'm talking about him. PewDiePie has created a video about a plane crash with graphic imagery from the crash site. What should he be aware of of before posting it. A, this video could be demonetized if he chooses to run ads on it. B, the video content should be in line with YouTube's policies so that it doesn't get taken down. C, advertisers tend to shy away from videos that contain tragedy and conflict. Or D, all of the above. It's all of the above, I'm so smart. Also, how can you tell if a video has been demonetized? A, it will be taken down from YouTube. B, in Video Manager you will see a yellow icon. It's B. We can just stop there. I've seen that little icon plenty enough. So there you have it. They've extended some of the policies. They've added certain new ones. And ultimately, it'll be time that tells us if this is a good thing or a bad thing. But with that said, let's jump into the Tuesday show. Tuesday, we talked about rehab for YouTube addiction, racist Indy 500 remarks, the Tiger Woods DUI, and the fight in Texas over SB4. Around the racist Indy 500 remarks, Simon Hampa said, "What's the difference between an American holding a grudge against the Japanese for 72 years and a black man holding a grudge against white people for 152 years? Except for the 80, that is. The same stuff applies. It's not any white man living today's fault what happened in the US before 1865. Why differentiate?" Well, one, I like to think that we should all strive to just treat each other based off of how we treat one another and just who we are as real people, not base it off of race or what people in the past who have the same lineage as us did. Right, that would be ideal. But also to say that the slavery of black people in America is the same as the war we fought with Japan. Those don't really seem like equals to me. Now to you, that might not be the case, but to me, those are far different situations. And it's hard to explain in just one specific way because each situation was multi-layered. So if you're talking about the enslavement of black people, then you could say, yeah, well, there was a whole war where other white people fought to free them. Yeah, but it wasn't like the slaves were freed and then everything was just peachy keen. Also, when you look to the United States and Japan and World War II, it's not as simple as you might just randomly remember. A lot of bad shit went down on both sides. I don't know if we need to go into specifics. You have Pearl Harbor, but you also have us dropping atomic bombs, internment camps. Japanese internment camps are one of those things in American history that more often than not, get swept under the rug. Also, as Marisol Gonzalez pointed out, Terry is aware that about 33,000 Japanese Americans served in the military during and immediately after World War II, right? If he wants to be uncomfortable, he should be uncomfortable about the internment camps thing. Yeah, it's just the situations are very rarely black and white. If you look at a person as they are part of a group, so it's like a race, a gender, anything. People of the same race, people of the same gender, people of the same whatever, they will do different things. 80 years ago, 150 years ago, however long ago, that does not reflect the new person that exists today. Hey, that's my opinion. Maybe that makes sense to you. Maybe you still think what you do. Then on YouTube addiction, Star City Mayor says, "To me, the story doesn't sound like she has a YouTube addiction. Rather, depression issues, and she just used YouTube as a place to go. And then the depression problems just increase by doing nothing but watching YouTube." Jesse Martineau says, "Seriously, parents, if you are scared of your kids, scared to take away their devices or at least limit their usage on those devices, you aren't an adult. Parents are allowed to just say no." Yeah, for me, this story villainized the internet and YouTube too much. The point outs that she used the internet to find out how many pills to take to try to kill herself. She was irritable after watching YouTube videos. Her parents were like walking on eggshells. And I don't want to full out attack a parent, but it very much just seemed like this girl needed someone. And because she didn't really have anyone, it even said that she started watching these YouTube videos supposedly because she wanted to fit in with a group of people that talked about YouTube videos. That's where a parent does need to step in. Now, I don't know this individual circumstance. There was talk about the parents arguing. I don't know if they were divorced. Maybe there was just a bad energy. People weren't connecting. People weren't paying attention. And you miss things. But I think the moment you get scared of your child, that's a problem. I mean, I know that raising a toddler is going to be way different than raising a teenager. And I'm personally a big believer of, no, Trey, you can't have the iPad all the time. But because this generation is going to need to be tech savvy, it can actually, if used properly, can be a very good educational tool. I give him access to it. Now, the moment that I tell him to do something and he's like, no, iPad, oh, you better fucking believe I'm taking that iPad away. Daddy's words are law in this house. Asterisk, all rules are off when I'm on an airplane because I don't want to be the parent with a screaming kid, so that kid gets anything he wants for the duration of that flight. As soon as we get off that plane, the law. But that's also because I'm gonna be one of those asshole parents that no matter how successful I am, I'm gonna make my kid get a job. I'm gonna make my kid bust his ass because there are lessons there. And also you just learn good social skills and skills for life. Then let's get into the Wednesday show. Wednesday we talked about the ridiculousness over at Evergreen State College, Kathy Griffin and Tyler Shields photo shoot, some other Trump news, and Kofefe. On the Evergreen State College situation, Alianne responds to Franco, maybe you should refrain from remarks remarks such as how much Kool-Aid you've had to drink when voicing your opinion/disapproval of something the students of color are doing. You make some valid points, but your subtle racism/stereotyping takes away from that. Some of you thought I was joking when I said people were getting angry about this. There are people that saw that as subtle racism. Drinking the Kool-Aid is a reference to Jonestown, a cult of people that believe so much in a false message that they drank something and killed themselves. They had so much blind faith that reality, what was right in front of them, they couldn't see. But then you, Allie, and people like you take your own assumption that, of course, me as a white guy, Bill is a white guy, of course he's racist. That's what's coming out here, not a reference to something I'm ignorant on. Allie, you disappoint me. On the Kathy Griffin Trump beheaded pic, it stars Zara Safar saying, "I'm a liberal and I really did not like the photo." What bothered me more, however, were the people who were happy to lynch Obama but freaked out over the Griffin photo. You can't pick and choose what type of hate crime you're okay with. Okay, so I 100% agree that if you were okay with the Obama things, but you're not okay with this, fuck those people. Your comment also feels, and maybe it's not the point you're getting across, it feels like you're saying that people on the right who had a problem with this probably didn't have a problem with the Obama stuff. I kind of hate those assumptions because yes, there are people that fall into that category where they're like, yeah, the fuck Obama, but this crosses a line. But what I saw when this came out were people from the left and the right saying, it was wrong when it happened with Obama, and it's wrong when it's happening with Trump. If anything, these moments of Kathy Griffin and Pepsi, I feel like those things make us realize, while everyone might have different opinions on things, there are some common threads. Jacob Burrell says, the photo shoot thing is such bullshit. The fact that so many people are offended over art is ridiculous. Phil stands surprised due to previous statements regarding comedians. In my eyes, it is with art as it is with comedy. So I get what you're saying, but this is a slightly different situation. You do have a comedian as the subject of the photo, and you have an artist in Tyler Shields, the photographer. In both of those careers, it is very common to try and find the line of where it's too much, and you try and push it and cross it and mess with it. But you are dealing with a subject that dabbles very close to a Class E felony, and that is threatening the President of the United States. Like, I have the freedom to say, fuck Donald Trump, fuck Barack Obama. But the moment I say, I'm going to fuck Donald Trump and or Barack Obama to death, that is a statement and not an explanation of the law like I'm doing now, that would be illegal. But for the sake of conversation, let's say that this is more art than threat, which I believe that it is. I still stand by what I said yesterday in that it is incredibly stupid. You, using your audience, using your place in society, are promoting the image of the intolerant liberal. You're not hitting him on the big, broad mistakes. You are showing a bloodied, severed head in reference to something he said last year, but still ultimately showing the president dead in an ISIS-esque photo. He's free to do it. I don't get giddy thinking about ruining her career. You kind of can't be surprised the public reacted like this. I stand by it. It was a stupid move. She's even acknowledged this, although it could be argued she started acknowledging this when she started losing gigs. And this was kind of a move to excuse the accidental pun, stop the bleeding. Then we have the Thursday show. Thursday we talked about the Evergreen College students trying to get the videos of them removed, the Oakland police child prostitute scandal, the Portland train stabbing, and Trump dropping the United States out of the Paris Agreement. On the Evergreen College update, Mike the liar says the only way to get through to the students is to expel them. See how quickly they change their tone when they're kicked out. Their behavior is against many portions of the student conduct code, so the college is well within their right to expel them. I mean, here's the thing, if you thought that the people that were involved here were shouting that discrimination and racism because someone said what Brett Weinstein said, that faculty hires should be based off of skill rather than just diversity, that he was against a day where people of color asked for white people to just not go to campus. And I don't even know what the reaction would be to expel any of those students that were just getting in those teachers' faces and screaming. I also don't know if the president of the college sees what's happening in front of him. In a statement he said, "These are incredibly complex and sometimes emotional issues to navigate. We at Evergreen have the courage to try. With tolerance and respect, my belief is that we can succeed and continue to learn from each other." Excuse my language, President Bridges, but who the fuck in any of the videos was showing you any respect?
No, fuck you, George. We don't want to hear a goddamn thing you have to say. You talk so fucking much. No, you shut the fuck up.
Leo Logic Jr. writes, the students at the college should be celebrating unity and finding ways to improve equality in their education. It seems absurd that students don't take time to listen to their college president or professors without an efficient way to work out the issues they may have. It's really sad to see the world is becoming more divided. Well, Leo, what I would say is, yes, I would love if there was a way to celebrate unity, but I don't want to dismiss the idea in general of protest. I don't want to dismiss the idea in general of what the day of absence originally was, which was people of color taking that day, going off of campus, talking about race issues, talking about how they can make things better. But there is a difference between that and calling a teacher racist and calling for someone to be fired because they think people should be hired because of their skills rather than their race. And they don't see the difference and why it is incredibly offensive to say, hey, white people, if you could just not be on campus, we'd love that for a day. And that's just where I'll leave that one. Kez 2009 wrote that extremist cunt, no matter what side he was on, was a terrorist. Right-wing terrorism and Islamic terrorism are cancer. Full stop. Not all Muslims are all far-right wingers. Beautifully put. I can't really add anything to that. But to Moving Forward, who wrote garbage person, sure, he's racist, but that would have been the end of it. Instead, you get 3 dumb fucks white knighting most likely threatened him. Wouldn't be surprised if they even shoved him. Unless he's assaulting someone, stay the fuck out of it. Otherwise, you will die and you get no sympathy from me. Well, to Moving Forward and to people that have this same belief, I say go fuck yourself. Looking at this comment, I get a semi-good idea of how pathetic and sad your life probably is. Part of me, and it's because I'm not a take the high roader, I'm just a guy, part of me hopes that if you're ever in a situation where you need help, no one helps you out, and then maybe it's a story I cover on the show and we talk about you as a sympathetic figure even though now we know you're a fucking asshole. I'd tell you to go kill yourself, but that would be incredibly inappropriate, and I have a feeling that you just living out your days would be a far greater punishment. Thanks for the comment, and that's actually where I'm gonna end today's show. And I wanna just thank you guys for another fantastic week. I wanna thank you guys for having been so supportive since the relaunch on May 8th. These are such exciting times, both making the show, how I wanna make it, and everything we're doing behind the scenes to build out more stuff. And so I just wanna say thank you for watching, for sharing, for interacting. If you're one of the people that are supporting on DeFrancoElite.com, thank you. You guys are the ones that make this possible, and that's where I'm gonna end today's show. With that said, of course, as always, my name's Philip DeFranco. You've just been filled in. I love yo faces, and I'll see you Monday.